It's going well, thank you. I always see you in the background, but I wanted to acknowledge it.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so the recording has been started. And let me change this to VSO test.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to editing reports in Business Central, there are three different windows that we have to work with. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to create two different screens at the same time. Okay, so let's say in this example, we want to make changes to our posted sales invoices, right? So
Mhm.
whenever I go in posted sales invoices, whenever I print it, I can see right now my sales invoice looks like this, but let's say I want to make some changes. I want to add the logo. Um, this over here shows over here, but I want to specify sales invoice in between and some other changes as well.
Yeah.
Then all I have to do is the first step, since you have just started with Business Central, so this is only for the first time. So the first step is you click on search and then you search report selection sales, right?
Mhm.
If you want to edit AR reports, it's report selection sales. For AP reports, it's report selection purchase. And whenever you want to edit checks in Business Central, like the checks we print from BC, it's a report selection bank. So the names can change based on which reports you want to edit. For this example, since I want to edit sales invoice, I will go over here. Step number one. Once I go over here, under usage, if I click on the drop down, it will show me all the different reports which I can print under sales. So I can print, I have order, sales quote, invoice, etc. I will click on invoice, right? So this is
Mhm.
the report which I want to edit. Now here I can see the current report ID which I'm using for my report right now, right? So this is important to know. So I can note this down, 1306, right? So this is my step number one. Any questions in this?
Nope.
Okay, so after step number one is completed, you know your report ID. Step number two is, I want to know, is my report ID a Word layout or do I have to edit any other layout, like other than Word? Then all
Yeah.
I have to do is search report layout selection. So this is step number two, reports layout selection. I click over here. I specify the same report ID, 1306, and now I can see my layout type is RDLC. I'll explain you what is RDLC and what we need to install, but first we have to know which layout we're using. We're using RDLC layout. Okay. Now, since we know our report ID and now we know our layout type, step number three from here is I click on search and I search custom report layout. This is where I will be editing my reports and I will be making the changes. So I will go over here. Now, once I'm in custom report layout, the first thing which I need to do is I need to click on new. So for example, I can see 1306 over here, but 1306 shows as a word layout. But as far as I know, the layout which we are working on is 1306 RDLC, right? So since
Mhm.
this option is not here, I'll click on new. I'll click on new as well. So I'll type in 1306. It is RDLC. I'll click on that, click on this and press OK. Now, once I do this, I can see this option shows up. I can change the name of this just to make it easier, change the name of description, RDLC sales, testing. Okay. Now from here, what I can do is, you know, If I want, I can quickly click on home, like select this line, click on home, click on run report, scroll down. Um, you know, over here, I can select any posted sales invoice which I want to run. Let's say I want to run this posted sales invoice. I'll click on preview. Now I can see this is how my layout currently looks like. Now from here, all I have to do is close this, click on home again, layout, sorry, home, layout, and now I can click on export layout. So
Okay.
now I can click on export layout. Okay. Now here's one thing. Whenever you're working on RELC layouts in Business Central, you have to make sure, let me show you like this. If I go on Google and if I search report builder, you have to make sure you have this software downloaded in your Business Central. It's completely free from Microsoft. So if you click on the first link, report builder, there is a download option. So once you download this, then you will be able to edit RELC reports, right? So we just have to make sure this is there in your computer. Okay. Oh, 1 sec. Okay. So now once you export this layout in your computer, make sure to open the file. So let's say once I open the file, this is how RELC layout looks like.
Mhm.
This might be very confusing in the first glance. It's confusing to know which options mean which in the report. So since you're working on this for the first time, all we have to do is at the same time, I can go back in my Business Central. I can click on home, run report, and I can, let's say, run any report over here just to make sure, just to see how my report currently looks like. So I can run this report, click on preview. So I can see this is how my report looks like. At the top, I have my VSO sign, VSO logo. So if I go
Mhm.
back in my report, I can see this means my logo option then, right? Because this is at my top left corner. This says page number. So this option
Yep.
means this option, right? So it's straightforward from that perspective. So example,
Right.
I can see my document title. This means invoice, and below this is company address. And here I can see company address details. So that's how I can locate the correct fields, just
Mhm.
going back in my report. Okay,
I have a
now,
little bit of experience with crystal reports, so this doesn't look too
oh,
scary to me.
okay, great then. That's great. So is Crystal Report the same format?
Pretty much so. It's got the header and the body and all that sort of
Okay.
stuff. And
No, that's actually good then. So many things might be the same whenever you edit the reports then. Okay. Okay. So I'll just give you some examples from here. So let's say you want to make some changes. You want to remove the page number. So all I have to do is click on the box, click on delete to get rid of the page number. And at the same time, I want to have my invoice, this option show on top. And instead of saying invoice, I want to specify sales invoice over here on the top, right? So all I have to do is first I will select these boxes, these because these four boxes are just additional boxes.
Mhm.
I'll select these, I'll press on delete. Then I'll just click on insert, click on text box over here. Then I can just do like this, specify sales invoice, and then I can easily make this in the middle of the screen, and I can also change my font size and color as well if I wanted to do that. So here's how I can add sales invoice, and then this part, I can just click on it and press delete as well, right?
Okay.
And I can also drag and drop this anywhere I want in my screen, right? So I can drag and drop this as well. So this is also possible, and I can decrease the size and increase the size like this as well.
Just one question for the logo. If I wanted to make it bigger, do I have to have the actual bigger size, or
No,
can
no.
I just increase the size?
All you have to do is just click on the box itself
Mm-hmm.
and then just increase the size like that.
Okay.
So once I increase the size, you'll see the logo automatically increases in size.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we have increased the size. The sales invoice shows up over here. Now let's say if I go back in your report, I can see, so this information which I see over here is being, this information. Okay, so if you see like this, it says company address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
What this means is if you go back in your Business Central and if you search company information, the address which you specify in your company information automatically shows up in all the reports in Business Central, mostly all the reports. So
Okay.
so the first field means address one. This means 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Yep.
So there are like 8 fields, and this just goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, since this is my um, sales invoice report, so company address one means this means customer name, address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just like that. Okay. So let's say over here, here I can see my address details, right? And let's say I want to add, so over here, I don't actually need company legal office information, and I don't actually need these information as well. So what
Yep.
I can do is I can just click on this, select this, click on backspace just to get rid of this, right? I can do this thing as well. Oh, one sec. I can just click on backspace, or I can even select all of these rows at once, and I can press delete as well, right? To just get rid
Mm-hmm.
of these. And instead of these, if I want to add company address 7 and 8, 7 and 8 just means your postal code and region code. So all I have to do is click on this box, right? Click on this box, click on this option over here. Oh, any questions before I move forward?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. So once you click on this option, you'll see what fields you can add right now. You can also keep scrolling down, but if I keep scrolling up, I can see 7 and 8. So I can just click on 7. And at the same time, I can click on 8. I can also, highlight this, change the font size as well, and other options too I can select. So this is how we can add new fields, right? So let's say if I click on the next row, so I'll show you one example. Let's say at the same time I click on sales, open my sales invoice. Let's say if I open this sales invoice, I can see in my sales invoice, I have a field called your reference field. So this field you can use to provide any extra information, right? So if you have any extra information for your customers that you want to provide, you can provide over here. Let's say, um, just as an example, testing, I can provide a number like this, right? So this is my extra information. Now, if I want to show this field in my sales invoice report, I will go back over here, select a blank field, or I can click on insert and create a new field as well. But let's say if I
Mm-hmm.
select a blank field, click on this box. And what I can do is I can keep scrolling down until I find your reference. Okay. Now here you'll see you have two options. You have your reference header, and then you have your reference header LBL, right? The only
Yeah.
difference between these two is if you select the option below, this just means the name itself, the heading itself.
Yeah.
So the heading just means your reference. So for example, if you specify your reference LBL over here, this will just show the name only, your reference. But if you want to specify the details of what you have specified under your reference, then you have to select this option, the first option.
Mm-hmm.
So if I
Yep.
select the first option, it will show me testing 1, 2, 3, 5, etc. So here, what I can do is either I can specify your reference LBL, or I can, instead of specifying that, I can just click on this and I can just say, let's say notes, right? Semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
So you can specify any name, like hard code any name over here. So this is
Okay.
your formula and this is your header. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let's say instead of doing this, you want to add, let's say, as an example, you want to add your reference over here. So what I will be doing is clicking on text box, doing like this, or let me show you another option. Instead of clicking on insert and text box, what I can also do is I can click on the last option over here, right? This option will also show the exact same fields. Um, your reference. So I can see your reference header. I just need to drag and drop this over here. Now this field will
Mhm.
show over here and I can increase the size, decrease the size, and I can also increase the font as well. So that's how I can add fields from here as well, like this, straight away. Okay, so you can make these changes in these. Now, if you scroll down, the options which you see over here, this options relates to your sales invoice line. So whatever you specify under here, right? These
Mhm.
details will show up over here, right? So for example, if you see in this, you'll see some columns which you don't really require right now. So you don't require job task number, you don't require item number since we don't use inventory module in your Business Central.
Mhm.
So what
Yep.
I can do is I can just right click on top, delete the column just to get rid of this, delete the column. Oh, sorry. Oh, so this is linked with all of this. So in this, what I can do is I can just select these. I can just highlight this, click on backspace, highlight this as well, backspace. I can get rid of this. I can decrease its size like this. And I can see I don't need shipment details as well. So I can get rid of shipment details, delete column. This line means quantity. I want to see my quantity. I don't want to see my unit of measure, so I'll get rid of this. And this is a one empty column. I'll get rid of this as well. And now I have all the columns which I require. So what I can do is I can increase the size of description. So my description can show in one single line, right? So I can increase the size of this, decrease the size of this. And like I can make these changes very easily, just like this.
Mhm.
Any questions so far?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Just the linking and that is intriguing.
Which one?
Well, you couldn't delete that column because you said it was linked.
Oh,
So,
the reason for that was, let me show you. If you
yeah.
actually see, if you actually see there's one row over here under this, which is open to all of these columns like this. So for example, if I click on this column, I can see this column is actually linked with all of these ones as well, right?
Okay.
So since this is a default report from Business Central, under these cases, I'll say the easiest solution is just drag and drop this all the way over here. So only your
Yeah.
description, quantity, and these details will show up because
Okay.
your report is set up like this.
Mhm.
Okay. Now from here, if I print your report, I can see right now your description shows like this, quantity shows like this, and your unit price heading shows like unit price excluding VAT. I don't want to show my heading of unit price like this. Instead, I just want to specify price over here. So
Yeah.
all I have to do is go back in my report, click on this, delete the formula, and I'll just specify price, right? So it's straightforward from
Mhm.
that perspective. Specify price, make this in the middle. I can do the same thing over here. And that's how I can delete, change the headings, add more columns, and other details as well. Okay, any more questions in this?
Nope, that part's okay.
I'll show you one more option. So one other way we can add formula. So sorry, one other way we can add like fields in this is, for example, if I click on any box, let's say if I click on any box in Business Central, and if I click on, let's say if I right click on the box, if you click on expression, expression will show you if there is a formula in the box or not, or if you want to add a new field. Then from here, if you click on datasets, Business Central will show you the exact same options over here as well. So from here also, if I want to add unit of measure, I can, sorry, if I want to add your reference field, I can just keep scrolling down, select the correct field. But let's say I want to add due date option. I'll just click on this, click it 2 times. Once you do that, due date formula will show up and I'll just press OK. So now due date formula will show up over here. So there are 3 different ways in which you can add the formula like this. And then
Mhm.
once you run the report, then the correct options will show up.
Okay. Is there a way to show GST and PST separately?
So for GST and PST separately, I need to make sure I select the correct fields in a blank box. For example, if I click on a blank box, um, one sec. If I keep scrolling down, I don't know the exact fields we need to select for GST and PST separately, but I can see the fields we have for the taxes. So for example, if I keep scrolling down, so if you see over here, we have these fields for taxes, right? VAT amount. Sometimes, yeah, VAT amount including VAT line. So in this case, all like for example, if you had asked me to edit the reports, and if I'm
Mhm.
not sure what the exact field is, what I mostly do is for the first time, once I'm not sure what exact field I have to select in that specific report, I
Yeah.
select some fields which are for um, tax lines. So I'll select this field, I'll select the other field as well, and then I'll run my report to see which field works the best for me, right? So for example, I can add this field. I can keep scrolling down, and I can add other fields for taxes as well. And then once I run my report, I can see which fields work best. But to answer your question, yes, we can actually see GST and PST separately in our reports. Yeah, we can
Okay,
do that.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure which fields we have to select because each report in Business Central is very different from each other. So what I'll say the best practice is there's like 2, 3 options we have for PST lines. Sorry, tax lines. So we just have to select those options. For example, if I select this option, this option. Now, once I run my report, then I can see which fields work the best. Showing GST and
Right.
PST separately. Yeah. Okay, now once, let's say my changes have been saved, usually also whenever all the default reports in Business Central usually have GST and PST showing up over there. So whenever, so for example, the report I had edited for School of Music, right? Their sales
Mhm.
invoice report, they have GST and PST showing up separately. So if you
Okay.
calculate all taxes, it will actually show you GST and PST separately. That actually came by default from um, Business Central. So
Okay.
you don't even have to edit that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So once I add all the details, I'll save this, close my file. So make sure you close the file after saving.
Mhm.
Okay, once I close my file, now all I have to do is, so here, once I close my file, either I can overwrite the changes in the exact same file, right? In the exact same file. Or what I can do is I can make a copy of this. So I can click on copy, copy of RDLC sales invoice testing. I can change the name to, let's say, testing 2. And now I can import the new changes over here to make sure if the changes look good or not, right? I can click on this,
Mm.
home, run report. Let's say I want to select this report, press preview. Oh, sorry. So once you make a copy of this, you have to make sure you import your new layout over here. So click on this line, click on home, layout, import layout. I will select my layout from here. Then I'll click on home, layout, update layout. So the first step is you have to import the layout. Once you import this, then you have to update your layout as well. Update layout. And now it will say your layout has been updated. Use the current report design, press OK. Now I can click on home and see how does my report looks like. So I can select any posted sales invoice from here, click on preview, and I can see, okay, my logo looks bigger, my sales invoice shows up, oh, and my other details shows up over here as well, right?
Yeah.
So I can see some other details and I can see price shows up like this. I have to adjust some other things, but I can see these details over here. So that's how you usually edit your RDLC reports in Business Central. And always make sure you import your layout and update your layout as well, like that. Any questions so far?
How are you attaching this new report to
The
the
default.
when? Yeah.
Yes, that's a great question. So that's what I was about to show you next.
Okay.
Um, After we import your layout in Business Central. Oh,
Mhm.
actually, before I move forward, you don't really have to edit your sales invoice report. I will be doing that for you. And I have
Yeah.
already applied like a sales invoice report for School of Music. I'll show
Right.
you that format. And if you want to adjust, if you want to make changes from there onwards, you can let me know what changes you want to make for sales invoice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So from here, okay. So once you update the layout over here, now the next step is I have to click on search. I'll again go back and report layout selection, right? I'll go over here,
Mhm.
click on report layout selection. Now I will search 1306. That was my report ID.
Mhm.
From here, click on the layout type, click on custom layout because we just edited
Ah, yes.
a new layout. Yep. And
Okay.
now Business
That
Central
makes
will ask
sense.
me, hey, which one do you want to, I'll just like testing 2, RDLC, press OK. Now, whenever I go back in my posted sales invoice, whenever I click on print, preview, now this will show up. Or, or let's say whenever I click on this drop down, oh, I have to see if I did. And if I click on this drop down, click on send option. And if I, let's say, click on prompt for settings, press OK. Now, once Business Central will show me the details, right? Will show me this message. The option which the attachment it will show me will have the exact same changes as well.
Okay.
Okay, discarding it. Okay, so that's how we update and default the layout in Business Central. Now, the next thing I want to show you is sometimes what happens is, for example, the report ID 1306, um, we saw that 1306 was there as an RDLC format, but sometimes that same report ID is there as a Word format as well. So you have the option
Mhm.
of either editing RDLC or either editing a Word layout as well. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I click on search, I go back in custom report layout, I will click on this, and what I can do is I can see over here, I already have this option 1306 sales invoice Word layout, but if I want, I can also click on new. I can also check if the same report ID is present in a Word layout as well, right? So I can still click on Word layout just to see if that same report ID is there as a Word layout too. So let's say if I click on this, press OK, I can see the new file over here. And if I click on Home, Run Report, select like a posted sales invoice, click on Preview, I can see this is how my Word layout currently looks like for the report ID 1306, right? Now,
Mhm.
from here is the exact same process. I'll click on the line, click on Home, Layout, Export Layout. Instead of an RELC, my Word layout will get exported. I can click on Enable Editing. Um, this is where my logo shows up. I can increase the size, decrease the size, right? This is my header details, invoice. You know, if I right now I can see if I run my report, let's say if I run my report, I can see this shows as invoice only, and this is my invoice number. But instead of showing only invoice, I want to add sales invoice over here. Then all I have to do is go back in my report, click on this, right? Highlight this. I will delete this, and I can just type in sales invoice, right? So sales
Mhm.
invoice gets hard coded for all my reports. And I can make this as bold as well. And I can see document number formula over here. So that's good. I want to have document number mentioned over here, document date mentioned over here. I can make some other formatting changes. Formatting changes in Word is pretty straightforward, so I won't really go into details in that.
Yeah.
But I'll show you how you can add new fields in your Business Central under the Word layout, right? Because that's a little bit tricky. So not tricky since this is the first time. So let's say I want to add a new field. The same example, I want to add your reference field. So I'll just say your reference or just say notes over here. But what I can also do is I can highlight this. A sec. I can highlight this, click on table design, click on all borders so I can see, so I can very easily see where I can add my formula, where I can add
Mhm.
my heading over here. If I don't want any field, I can delete this. So I can get rid of this. Like this, I can get rid of this. And instead over here, I can add the same information. I can press Control X and I can press Control V over here. And now I can add my formula over here instead, right? So if you want to add your field over here, click on this option on top, Developer,
Mhm.
then click on XML mapping pane. Now a drop-down will appear. Once you click on that, whenever you see the name of the report and the report ID, click on that specific option. So I can see sales invoice and I can see 1306. So I'll click on this option, right? Drop down, click on this drop down. Okay, now when it says header, this means if I go in your sales invoice, all of these fields which you see over here are all of your sales header details, right? So all of these fields are called sales header. These fields are called sales header. The columns which you see over here are called sales line columns, right? So this
Yeah.
is your sales header columns. This is your sales line columns. Okay. If you want to add any sales, I can see I already have my sales header. So this is a wrong bad example. I'll do, let's say if I go back in my sales invoice, you also use external document number as well, right? So
Yeah.
you specify
Yes.
some details. If I want to add this, I'll just keep scrolling down. This is C. I have to find E. So if I keep scrolling down, C, D, E, I can see external document number and the heading as well. I can either
Mhm.
have this heading or I can specify my own heading. But let's say I'll just specify the formula. So click on this. Sorry, right click on this. Then select this option, plain text. Now, once you click on plain text, Business Central will specify the formula over here. So automatically this number or whichever detail you specify over here will show up in this, right? Will show up over
Mhm.
here. And over here, you can just add any detail you want, notes, etc. What I can also do is I can get rid of all of these. I can get rid of this because I don't need those details. I'll show you one thing. And I can just Control X, have this, and I can delete these two rows from here.
Yeah.
So delete cells. So I have more space. I don't need work description. Here, work description line means, you have this box, whatever detail you specify over here, testing for my
Oh, okay.
sales invoice.
Yes.
So this might be very important. Testing for my sales. So you can add like more details over here. There's no such limit of words. You add the words, and then this will show up over here, right? It will show up over
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
So you can make the changes, okay? And then the same way, so word layout is pretty easy from that perspective. If since I don't require these two columns, I can just what I can also do over here is I can select these like this, click on table design, all borders. Now I can very easily select these two columns, right click, delete cells, just delete these cells. It's pretty straightforward. And I can drag and drop this to make this more, you know, I increase the space as well.
Yeah.
Oh, one sec. So I can do that. And I can delete additional columns as well. Well, one thing I want to show you, let's say over here, if I go back in your Business Central, yeah, this looks very bad. You have all of these columns for some example, for some, let's say you want to see your discount details in your sales invoice, in your sales invoice report as well. If I
Mhm.
want to add this detail, all I have to do is I can just specify discount over here, discount. I can click on this box. So this is currently header. And
Yeah.
if I keep scrolling down from here, I'll see the line option as well, right? So if I click on the line option here, I can see all the columns for my sales line level. Um, okay, I can see one column for discount line discount percentage. Right
Mhm.
click on this, click on that, and now the formula shows up. Okay, this is straightforward. One, so the main advantage of Word Report is all of these are easily categorized for you. So here you can see all of your header columns,
Right.
header fields. Here we can see all of our line columns. And if you keep scrolling down, you can see you have one option for your tax amount lines as well. So if you click on this drop down, you can see you have all of these options to try out whichever option works best. You have different options as well. You have one option for your, you have one option for your total as well. If you want to show a field which shows you total before taxes, see, total
Mm-hmm.
amount excluding taxes, you can add that field. Total amount including taxes, you can add that field. If you want to add total subtotal, etc., you can add different fields, try out which fields works best. You can add those fields over here as well. Um, you can also do like this, like if let's say if I want to add a new field over here, I can just click anywhere in my word layout. Let's say I can click over here. Let's say I can click on this, right click, do this, click on plain text, and the formula will show up. So automatically the number will show up over here. So you can do this. So Word is a little bit straightforward from that perspective. And the information which you see over here is your footer details, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't want to see these details, what I can do is I can highlight this, or I can just, it will be easier if I highlight it like this, table design, all borders. I can get rid of these two below. So I have more space. I don't need these details. I'll get rid of these ones as well. Um, okay. And once I've made my changes, always make sure you highlight this again. Table design, get rid of the borders. So I'll just say no borders. So once I print my report, these borders will not show up. So I can get rid of these as well. Or I can just like whatever option I like. So, oh, I wanna do something like this, right? Just to show a line. So, once you make the changes, once you add new fields like this, you can save your report and then upload the same changes.
Okay.
A- Any questions in this, Wordlayer?
There's no question specifically, but is there a way under a vendor to put some text that you want to show only when that vendor comes up?
Okay. Yes, so for example, okay, I understand your point. So whenever you are doing your purchase invoices, in your
Mm-hmm.
purchase invoices, that text should show up, right?
Yeah, so let
So,
let's say
mhm,
you're selling to somebody and on a sales invoice or something, and they have
mhm.
different requirements. Like let's say they
Yeah,
have
I
to put
understand your point.
50% down or
Understand your point.
something special.
Yep, we can actually do something for that. We can do something for that. Instead of showing this information over here, I can actually make that information flow over here as well automatically. So
Okay.
like I'll show you how. I've shown this to Katrina as well. She had, I think, the same kind of request. But
Oh,
let's
okay.
say, what I can do is whenever you create a purchase invoice for this vendor, as an example,
Mm-hmm.
a comment line will automatically show up, which will, show some details over here. And afterwards, the user can delete this comment from this purchase invoice as well. So it won't show up anywhere. But yeah, I can have this comment defaulted for the vendor. So it automatically shows up. So whenever the Haiti or any other user creates the purchase invoice, they'll know like what specifications this vendor needs.
Okay.
Will that be, or
Well,
do you want to
that would work.
specify?
I was kind of thinking like your
Mhm.
workbox that I could put.
Oh, that option is actually not present in purchase invoice. That's why.
Okay. Okay.
That option is, yeah, that option is only there. But what we can do is, so let's say if this vendor always purchases some specific like let's say for this vendor, you always specify the same GL account, and if the amounts are also the same, or let's say some details are the same, then we can default those details as well. So those details will automatically appear whenever you create the purchase invoice. Those
Okay.
kinds of situations we can also tackle, or otherwise I'll say we can add a comment line over here. That will be best
Right.
in this case. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
let me write this down. I'll find my email and then I'll send you the instructions.
Okay.
And then the easiest way to do this is since you want to do this for multiple vendors, right? I can send you like an Excel file and you can just fill up that Excel file. It will be very straightforward. And then I can
Yeah.
import the same Excel file in your Business Central. So automatically it will show up for those vendors.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll send you both the instructions, how we can do it one by one in Business Central and how we can actually do it through Excel file as well.
Okay.
Okay, let me write this down. Okay.
Not that there's anything at this point, but I like
In the
to
future,
cover my
right?
bases. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important. And personally, that can happen for customers or vendors too. For example, if for some specific vendors, you always create the same kinds of purchase invoice, instead of
Mm,
creating the same lines again and again, you can use that automatic option. That
right.
in that option, we actually have like two more options. Either you can actually make your purchase invoice automated, so the details will automatically show up, or whenever I select this vendor, Business Central will ask me over here, hey, you have an option of reoccurring purchase lines for this vendor. Do you want
Hmm.
to have those lines mentioned over here? Yes or no? So if my purchase invoice is new this time for that vendor, I can just click on no. So I
Yeah.
can, like there are different options. One option is I have the option of copy document as well. This I'll show you as well. So what this option means is, let's say, you know, I have my posted purchase invoice 79, and
Hmm.
I want to create the exact same purchase invoice again with the exact same details. Instead of
Hmm.
creating a new one from scratch, I can just click on purchase invoice, click on new. Instead of selecting my vendor, I will click on here, copy my document. I want to copy my document type. I want to copy posted invoice, right? I can either copy a purchase invoice which is open right now, or I can copy a posted purchase invoice as well,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And now I can select which one I want to copy. Let's say I want to copy 79, press
Yeah.
OK. I want to copy the header values as well. So my posting date should be the same, let's say as an example. Just click on this, press OK. And now I can see the exact same details. And if I want to make any changes from here, I can easily make changes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um, you actually chose a good one because that's a monthly fee.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was by fluke actually. Yeah, so this is pretty useful, but I'll show you the recurring purchase lines and sales line option. That will be very, very useful.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I've written this down. I'll show you afterwards. Okay, coming back to our example, once you make
Yeah.
changes in this,
Hmm.
save this up, close this. Very quickly, I'll show you, you know, again, make sure your type shows as Word. You can either make a copy of this or overwrite the same file over here, right?
Yeah.
So if you um for safekeeping, what you can also do is if you don't want to make like too many copies, you can also export a layout of this and save that layout. For example, if let's say your new layout is wrong or anything is wrong, you already have a saved layout, right? So you can import that
Yeah.
layout again. So you have different options. But
Hmm.
here I'll just import my new layout. Um, Import this. Make sure you update this after importing. Now, like I showed you, you have to go in report layout selection and custom layout and select this layout from here.
Right.
I can just do VSO, sales invoice, etc. Okay. Oh, I'll show you one thing very quickly. Uh, One sec. Sales invoice, testing. Oh, one sec. Testing. Okay, yeah. So that's how we can see the changes. one more thing I'll show you. Let's say whenever I go in report layout selection, this shows me all the reports that I currently have in my Business Central. So I can see all the different reports. But let's say for sales invoice or let's say purchase orders, etc. Um, Usually Business Central has more than one report ID for the same report, right? So let's say for sales invoice, if I just type sales, I can see I have one report called 1306 sales invoice, right? If I
Mhm.
keep scrolling down, I will see one more option for my sales invoice as well. So I have one more report, 10070 for sales invoice too. I can run this report as well. I can click on, and I have one more for 10074 as well. So Business Central has different layouts that you can choose from. And, like let's say if I click on this, I click on run report. Let's say, click on this drop down, select a posted sales invoice to run. Okay, I can see this report looks like this. It looks the same, but it's a little bit different, right? The logo shows up over
Right.
here. It's a little bit different. So you can also do something like this. This is a little bit advanced to see, but then if you want to see different options, you can see like that. That's how we can do that. Same thing goes with purchase orders as well. So if I write purchase, I can see one option for purchase order. Um, it should be 1322. Yeah, 1322. And then I can see some more options for purchase order as well. So I can see different report layouts. This option is a Word format. This option
Yeah.
is RDLC format, which I see over here.
Right.
So yeah, you can also do something like that as well to see if which layout works best.
Okay.
Okay. Um, all of these options which I showed you are like step-by-step options. I'll now show you an easier way. But
Hmm.
first, do you have any questions in all of this? All of like any of this over here?
No, no, this all
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay. Now the easy way, which I'll show you, everything you can just do from the same window itself. You don't even need to go in report selection, etc., etc. You can just
Mhm.
do from the same window as well. So the easy way is, let's say I want to edit my sales invoice. So all I have to do is click on any posted invoice, sales invoice, click on print. So whenever I'm printing any report in Business Central, whether be it sales invoice, draft sales invoice, purchase order, etc., whenever I click on print, this option will always show up, report layout. I then have to click on these three dots, right?
Yeah.
And here I can see right now I'm using 1306 report ID and my
Mhm.
type is RELC format, right? And this is my default format right now that I'm currently using. So from here, what I can do is I can click on the three dots, export this layout to my Business Central. I can export this layout. Let's say I've exported the layout. I'm not sure why this isn't. Um, I have to, if I click on this, I have to make sure I'm using the correct app. But for now, let's say you will export the layout. Once you make the changes, all you have to do is instead of replacing the layout over here, I can click on new, right? I can enter a layout name, let's say testing, description, sales, invoice, testing, RDLC. Oh, I know my format is RDLC, so I'll select that. Do you want to make this layout available in both the School of Music, VSF, other companies as well? I'll say no. This should only be present in VSO. And from here, I'll press OK. Import my layout. I'll import my default layout. So once I do that, I can see this layout over here. And I can run my report
Okay.
to see how it looks like. If this looks good, all I have to do is I have to make sure this is set up as default. Click on the three dots, click on set default. And now this is set as default over here, right? So press OK, click on the three dots again. I can see this as default.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I can also do this. one other thing, whenever you're using this option, whenever you click on these three dots like this, you'll see Business Central has all already specified some default layouts for you, which you can select from. For example, I have this default layout from Business Central. I have a Word layout as well for the same report ID. I have a blue layout as well. So if I click on this, click on three dots, run report, click on preview, I can see I have one report which looks like this. So I can make changes in the report from here as well, right? So I can export this, make changes, import this again. So there are like pre-default layouts set by Business Central and different report IDs as well. So you can actually, see whichever works best for you. So there are like plenty of
Yep.
options to select from.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this option is very easy from that perspective. Three dots one. Hey, any questions in this?
Oh, they've got a VAT specific, so that's probably answering my question on the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some other ones as well. These layouts.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see whichever option like you want to work the detailed way, you can go that process as well. You can do this
Hmm.
process, whichever way is easier.
Oh, this is
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's all I have for editing report layouts in Business Central.
Hmm.
The next part I wanted to cover was permissions.
Yes.
We still have time. So what I'm gonna do is, if you want, I can stop the recording and I can start a new recording for permission. So these two recordings will be separate.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I can stop this recording and I'll change the name of